My name is Laylee. 2 years ago, my husband Max and I moved to a small village because we wanted to live closer to nature. The fresh air, the river, and the beautiful forest nearby made it the perfect place. Life here is peaceful, and we love it. We plan to have children soon, and we believe this is the best place for them to grow up. Not long after we moved, we met our neighbors, John and Lisa. They are the same age as us and don't have children either. We quickly became friends and started spending time together. We went on picnics and sometimes searched for mushrooms in the forest. Life was simple, and everything felt perfect. John works far away and often has to leave for weeks or even months. Lisa, left alone, started asking for help with things around the house. Max and I always tried to help her when we could. Over time, I noticed that Lisa began asking for Max's help more and more. Whether it was fixing something in her house or working in the garden, she always seemed to need him. At first, I didn't think much of it. Max is kind and always willing to lend a hand, and I trusted him completely. Then, I started noticing small things that made me uneasy. Lisa's behavior around Max changed. Instead of wearing her usual casual clothes, she began dressing up when he was around. She always smiled at him in a way that didn't feel right. At first, I told myself I was overthinking, but deep down, I felt something was wrong. Max didn't seem to notice anything unusual. He thought he was just being a good neighbor. But he started spending more and more time at Lisa's house. I often waited for him, wondering why he was taking so long. One evening, I finally asked, "Max, why do you spend so much time with Lisa?" He looked surprised. "I'm just helping her. She needs help around the house since John is away." I nodded but didn't feel any better. After that, I started paying closer attention. Whenever Max went to Lisa's house, I found reasons to visit too. Lisa always acted normal, but I could see something in her eyes when she looked at Max, something that made me uncomfortable. One day, I saw them talking outside. They stood too close, and Lisa was laughing. My heart pounded. I couldn't stay silent anymore. I walked over and asked what was going on. Lisa gave me a sweet but almost mocking smile. "Oh, Laylee, we were just talking about the garden." I looked at Max. He didn't say anything but looked guilty. That night, I told Max everything. I told him I didn't like how Lisa behaved around him and how much time he spent with her. He was silent for a while, then finally said, "I'm sorry, Laylee. I didn't realize it was bothering you so much." His words comforted me a little, but I still wasn't sure if I could completely trust him. From that day on, Max tried to avoid Lisa. He stopped going to her house as often, and I noticed Lisa spending more time alone. Weeks passed, and things seemed to go back to normal, but I couldn't shake my unease. Every time Max stepped outside, I worried Lisa would try to talk to him. I didn't want to be the kind of wife who constantly watches her husband, but I couldn't help it. One afternoon, Lisa showed up at our house with a cake. She smiled sweetly. "Hi, Laylee. I made this for you and Max. I hope you like it." I forced a polite smile. "Thank you, Lisa." Then she glanced past me. "Is Max home?" My heart pounded. I wanted to lie, but I couldn't. "Yes, but he's busy right now." Lisa looked disappointed but quickly smiled again. "Oh, okay. Enjoy the cake. Let me know if you need anything." She waved and left. I closed the door, feeling both relieved and worried. That night, I told Max about Lisa's visit. He chuckled. "I think she's just being friendly. You don't have to worry." But I wasn't convinced. Her words, her smiles, the way she acted around Max, it didn't seem friendly to me. I decided it was best to keep my distance. For a while, Lisa didn't come around as much. Max and I spent more time together, and I felt our bond growing stronger. One day, while shopping, I ran into Lisa. She walked over with a smirk. "You know, Laylee, your husband is very helpful. I don't know what I'd do without him." Her words made me uncomfortable, but I stayed polite. "Yes, he's a good man." Lisa laughed softly. "He's more than just good, isn't he? You're very lucky." Something about the way she said it made my skin crawl, but I chose not to engage. I simply nodded and walked away. A few weeks later, Max came home and told me that John was returning soon. I felt relieved. Maybe with John back, Lisa would finally stop trying to get close to Max. When John arrived, everything changed. Lisa no longer asked for Max's help, and we barely saw her. A weight lifted off my shoulders. It seemed like the problem had solved itself. Max and I continued enjoying life in the village. We went on trips, worked in the garden, and talked about starting a family. I finally felt happy again, and over time, I let go of my worries about Lisa. One evening, as we watched the sunset together, I looked at Max and felt a deep sense of gratitude. "I'm sorry if I ever doubted you," I said softly. Max looked surprised. "Doubted me? Why?" I smiled. "Because I love you, and I know you would never hurt me." Max took my hand and squeezed it gently. "I love you too, Laylee. I would never do anything to hurt you." At that moment, I felt at peace. Lisa had been just a small chapter in our story, but Max and I were building something much greater, our life together. A few months later, John and Lisa moved away when John got a new job in the city. After they left, life in the village became truly peaceful again. Max and I started planning for the future, talking more seriously about having children. Through everything, I learned that trust and communication are the most important parts of a relationship. No matter what challenges come our way, I know Max and I will face them together.